Welcome to the Cathedral's podcast, Crossroads. We explore the intersection of faith and the world in thought-provoking bi-monthly episodes featuring guests from around the world who are seeking to live faithfully in the public square. This is a safe space for tough questions around faith, politics, science, technology, and our responsibilities as citizens. Please join us as we search for a better way forward. On today's episode of Crossroads, I have the opportunity to sit down with a good friend of this cathedral, the Right Reverend C. Andrew Doyle, Bishop of Texas, in conversations about his new book. Here are some highlights of that conversation. I'm Randy Hollerith, for those of you who don't know me, Dean of the Cathedral, and it's a pleasure to see you all here. And everybody knows Bishop Doyle, but I'm going to read his really brief bio here on his book anyway. C, what's the C for?
Charles.
Oh, Charles.
Yeah.
C. Andrew Doyle is the 9th Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Texas. Summarizes his autobiography in 6 words. Met Jesus on pilgrimage, still walking. I love that.
Yeah.
He has been interviewed on CBS and Newsweek, Texas Monthly, and Wired. He is the author of many books, including Embodied Liturgy, Vocatio, Unabashedly Episcopalian, A Generous Community, and The Jesus Heist. He lives in Houston, Texas. And we're really fortunate here at the Cathedral. Bishop Doyle has been a great friend to this cathedral, and we're really honored to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Andy will be signing books in the back afterwards for those who don't have one yet or would like to. I haven't gotten mine signed, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sign yours.
Okay. All right, first question, big question. What led you to write this book?
I was thinking about, I have been thinking since COVID about the nature of embodiment and the importance of the incarnation and our bodies in the life of the church. And certainly COVID, in the ways in which we were prepared and unprepared for that, had an impact, I think, on how we think about our bodies. And this coincides, of course, with a lot of philosophy around consciousness, but also science telling us and talking to us about what they're discovering about different parts of the nervous system and how the brain is connected to the rest of the body. So I've been interested and curious about that for a while. And a lot of people have been fascinated by artificial intelligence, but also what that's doing to us, as well as being online all the time. I'm a big follower of Jonathan Haidt, so he was working on Anxious Generation at the same time I'm working on this book, which I thought was interesting. There's a lot of similar source material in both. So it's obvious that the conversation, he's chosen very clearly to talk about how technology and phones are affecting school, right, and our children. I was more interested in the whole person, and of course, coming out of a spiritual discipline myself as a bishop and Episcopalian, unabashed faith flowed into that. And so, how do we counteract? What are the things that counteract what I'm calling a colonization of our minds by technology? And found that as I kind of worked through that it might be nice to reflect a little bit in this moment while people are saying, well, what do we do about it? There are lots of things you can do, but one of the areas that I think religion offers clarity is around prayer. And how we think about using our bodies for prayer. And of course, that's a deeply rooted incarnational idea. And here we are in the middle of a cathedral that is playing and plays upon the body's senses. It lifts our eyes up. It calls our eyes forward. It makes us want to walk through it. This is all part of how a body learns, and how we can talk about ancient cathedrals and all that, but it's deeply rooted in our own prayer tradition as Episcopalians and Anglicans.
Very tactile.
Very tactile. very tactile.
So you've always been a bishop leading in the Episcopal Church, often, I would say, on the cutting edge of things, an entrepreneurial spirit, very creative. If anyone's read any of your books, they're very inspiring that way. You're engaging with the future. You know, if someone who doesn't know you were to pick this up and say, "Oh, I didn't know that this bishop was a Luddite," what would you? You're not, obviously,
Right.
but talk about a little bit about that.
Well, I do think that people might have a question if they read Generous Community, for instance, or Church, which looked at the future of the church in the midst of technology, and then picked this up. They might go, well, what is that? Except that I make it very clear, this isn't about, I'm not making a case for getting rid of technology. That's not going to happen, first of all. So I'm a pretty practical person in that respect. And technology, I believe, is going to continue to rapidly develop and continue to speed up. There's a little lag right now, right, because of chip capacity, and batteries. But we're right on the edge within the next few years of seeing massive movement in both of those areas. So technology is not going to go away, but it does have an impact on us, just like cars had an impact. Every piece of this life in the modern age has had some impact on us. The book had an impact on us. So I'm not a Luddite, actually, and I'm interested in the future uses of artificial intelligence for the good. But all of that's going to be dependent upon whether or not we can be better humans through its use, or whether we will continue to allow it to take over our community life, our relational life, our spiritual life in a way that removes us from one another. Because I, probably like most theologians who are Episcopalians, think actually being together in a space is very valuable. And that you and I are going to riff together for a little while in Q&A. Meanwhile, our bodies are picking up all kinds of things off of one another as we do that. And so the communal life together in liturgy, sitting around having a cup of coffee, all of this this is essential life. This is where life actually takes place. So I wanted to play with that a little bit.
Sure. And I think you've made some really powerful points in this book, and we've discovered here at the Cathedral. We had during COVID that growth of our digital ministry, people finding solace or meaning here in some of our services because we could broadcast where other parishes couldn't at the time.
Right.
But we've also discovered that it's very important that we redirect these people into a physical community.
Yes.
Hopefully they'll stay with us as well as doing some digital engagement, but that is not enough.
Right. That's right. And my guess is tonight there might be people who are at home with kids. They might have just made it home from work, right? This allows somebody who's busy tonight but wants to participate, right? So there are benefits to technology. But I was just thinking while we were waiting, somebody passed by and lit a prayer candle. Now, I watched that happen, but I know what that smells like. I know what it smells like to light a match, what it means to feel the heat as you light that. Like, it is an experiential, no matter how many times you click the QR code and light a little candle on the computer, it's not the same thing, right? So even personal and individual prayer is filled with the body's sensation. And so I just wanted to hold that lightly and play with it a little bit in the book and offer this actually can counteract when we're feeling stressed, pushed by our agenda and diary for the day, when we feel overwhelmed by the internet because we've been doom scrolling for the last hour, or we're trying to go to sleep and say we're just watching that blue screen flipping up, right? And that there are other ways to fall asleep. There are other ways to come into prayer and to find ourselves and to settle ourselves into who we are and how we feel and those kind of things. So, that's what, yeah.
You know, on the title you talk about anti-spiritual influences.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what that means.
Well, I mean, the publishers just delight in that language, don't they? Anti-spiritual. I lost the battle
Is that one
on
of those
that.
ones where you went, we should call it this, and they said, no, we're calling it this?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
But no. I'm fully into. We have a great publishing team who works really hard in the Episcopal Church for us. But they were convicted, as I became, that that's really what's up, is that we are freely giving ourselves over to a technology that is, by its nature, anti-spiritual, because it isn't embodied, right? So by its very nature, it lives technologically in a system of ones and zeros, right? In a system of collective pairs of words, and like all of that. So we really are talking something different. It's made. I think of it this way a little bit for me, is that we as human beings live amidst a creation which speaks to us of God constantly. And it speaks of us to us of God in a different way than maybe the scripture does, for instance, right? There's different ways in which we hear from God, but certainly creation does that, and humans are a part of that. But when we make something and we take something that is God's, that speaks to us of God, and we melt it down and put it together in a new way, we have separated its original capacity to hold within itself the divine. Like we literally have, you remember the transmogrifier for Calvin and Hobbes in the cartoon? They had a big box and it was the transmogrifier, right? Like we transmogrify items all the time for our use, and it becomes garbage. And we fill the earth with transmogrified goods constantly. It's not spiritual in the same way that flesh is. Or as we look at the kind of cutting edge and asking simple questions about consciousness and how trees work and animals work and how they communicate, all those kind of things are pressing. And all of that is a giant flag saying, hey, this world is filled with God's Spirit and for us as Christians from the very beginning, right? And that this is what we're doing. We actually are removing that and building a thing, and that gets into whole lots of other conversations. But that's the anti-spiritual nature of what humans do, but also in this kind of what we're creating right now.
So the anti-spiritual nature that we're doing is akin to the stuff we make that we transmogrify, as Calvin would say,
right?
And that then becomes trash, but we're doing it in a digital sense.
In a digital sense. So for instance, there's a movie I watched it on a plane. So I can't remember the name of it, but it's about a guy who works for a company, and he's a software guy. And they ask it, and he's trying to figure out how to relate with people. It's actually a brilliant film about how he has lost the capacity to relate normally with other men, in particular in the film. And the guy's asking, hey, what do you do? He says, I make software that will make you addicted to the game so that you won't put it down. Okay, but that's, the business of technology is to have you need more technology. It is, in the simple game, to get you to start paying for the next level, the next balloon. But it's working on how your mind works with the game. It's not offering you a simple thing. It's already played on your psyche to get you to want that instant level up. So that is it removes our capacity from reasoning with the body into our gut reaction only, so that we're making automatic responses without the capacity to really pause and ask and think, kind of go to the second, third, and fourth thought, as Daniel Kahneman in his work, Thinking Fast and Slow. I mean, they are taking advantage of the human body's weakness. It is, and then in that way, I think it really is quite dangerous.
In the sense that technology is dehumanizing us, really.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes away, creates an addiction to something.
That algorithm.
An algorithm. Meanwhile, they're selling all the information they got off you without your permission. I mean, yeah, you said yes because you wanted the whatever. But that's what they're doing. They're selling, they're watching. I mean, and I give some details about that. Zuboff's book that unravels all of that economic connectivity within Facebook, for instance, and the other social media platforms is all about getting us to use the platform so that they can then sell the data.
Or sell us something.
And then they sell the data to somebody who wants to sell you something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So how do we combat that? You don't use it all the time. Right. You've got to disconnect. You got to remind yourself you're human. You've got to get past the first thought. You got to get to the second thought. You need to open yourselves up also to remember there's a divine communication going on that you're being removed from in some very powerful way. And that we have the opportunity to do this individually in our homes, which is part of what Unabashed tries to lead us through, some sense of I don't know how, I had to learn how to pray, even though I grew up in the Episcopal Church. And so
especially since you grew up in the Episcopal Church.
Yes, well, prayer was one thing. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was in the little red book.
Yeah, it was in a book. That's what you needed to know.
Exactly.
And yet, right, we were talking about evensong. Like the glory of evensong is sitting there, and you can close your eyes and feel the choir take your body up into the heavens if you've got an imagination. But if it's just this, then I'm watching, this is just a commodity, then no, there's a whole thing. But I met an Orthodox monk, and that's who taught me how to do stuff. I didn't know how to sit quietly, So yeah, you have to learn. And I think so many people are hungry for this wisdom. I think we're yearning for, we're looking for, we're seeking it. And the opportunity then is for us to share kind of the goodness of the Episcopal Church, which is a theme in all of my writing, with other people and say, hey, this is what you can do. And you don't have to be Episcopalian. I mean, I tried to kind of open it up to say, look, if you're a Buddhist and you've forgotten how to pray, you need to find a place in your home where you can pray. Right? Like, as a Christian, we need to do that too. But anybody could read the book and say, okay, wait, I'm just looking for some way to reconnect with my religious tradition. But it's meant for Episcopalians and Christians trying to do that, certainly.
You talk about spirituality and prayer and silence as acts of resistance.
Yeah.
I like that term. Talk a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Well, I think it's not playing the game. So the game is that you're supposed to never put your phone down. That's the game. The game that's being played is never disconnect. You need to know. I mean, I don't know about you. Some of you are youngins, right? Listen, my mom didn't know half of the time where I was as a child, and it turned out I'm okay. Right? I rode my bike and I did all kinds of stuff, and she didn't know, and she would holler on the porch, or one mom had one of those triangles and I lived in the city. I'm not trying to pretend like I lived in the country. Like, come on. But we had these ways of knowing. It got dark, you came home. I don't know where did you have a good time? Yeah, we had a great time. We built a ramp and jumped, like all these things.
You went home when the street lights came on.
You went home when the streets... But they're telling you can't live without this. They're telling you can't be disconnected from your children you're trying to help become adults. They're telling you actually need to know where everybody is so you can share your location all the time. That's the game. The game is constant connectivity, and if you can't be reached, it's an emergency. as opposed to, yeah, I was in a dead zone driving across Texas, right? So and so what happens is, if I'm not connected, what do I feel? I feel anxiety. I feel like I'm out of control. Like, these are the things. And so immediately calls me back into picking the phone back up or getting online to see how many likes did I get on that post. I mean, my cat was really awesome in the bathtub that we posted, and I'm hoping I get like 20 likes. That's all I want, right? Does anybody else like? I mean, it just feeds on this need for instant gratification. That's the game. So when we say, and I'd be happy if you just turned it off for 10 minutes in the morning and didn't pick it up from your night table, and you got up and sat with your feet firmly planted on the ground that you're getting ready. The doctor says I have to do this now, but I'm suggesting that before you have to do it as an older person, that you just sit there for a moment and just say, all right, this is going to be a good day. What's going to happen today? Where can I see light today? Ask yourself some good questions, and then try 5 minutes, and give me 5 minutes this week. I'm telling you, it will change. That's the resistance. I don't have to constantly be connected. And I think that resists it. And there's a whole chapter on what it does. Like, if you're a numbers person, you actually want to know what contribution you're making to electricity and all that kind of, like, there's all that in there. But just trust me, it adds up quickly. How many plugs do you all carry around with you now? Right? Like, you got one, you got to always have one. I mean, you might have to plug in your phone if you used it all up, checking on where your kids were.
Or a spare battery.
Or one of those giant not Mofis. Yeah, it's not Mofo, it's Mofi. What is that? Mofi?
Right,
is it a Mofi? I'm so old. Oh, my kids are like, oh, Dad, I just can't believe you just said that online. But there you go.
So talk a little bit about some of the spiritual practices that you talk about in the book.
Well, I think place is important. And I give an example of finding a place in your home. I have a place in my home. So finding a place in your home, and then putting in the place of the home the things that will help you be quiet versus the things that will distract you. So wherever your place is, probably shouldn't have a TV or a computer, right? Those kinds of things. And how are you going to walk into that space? So I think that's a piece of it. But some people are like, no, I want to sit out on my patio and just look at the world go by. I don't know what it is, but you have to have a place of regularity, I find. I think this is really, Episcopalians, for those of you who don't know, we make fun of each other about our pew and our chair. Like, there's a pew and a chair that I go to every time I'm in. Well, it turns out, actually, what we learned from the body is, when you have that regularity, you're able to quiet yourself faster. So it actually becomes a spiritual discipline to sit in a same place over and over again. And so then it's the breathing piece. And it's very much all kinds of goodness happens when we breathe and when we can slow the breathing down. I learned this was very key, both in praying through a distraction and quieting my body. So there's a regulation that allows your body to do its work. It's going to do it anyway, but you can have it be working way up here or way down here. And when it's down here, it's refreshing, it's healing, it's doing something very different. And so, those are pieces. I think some people are tactile. Some people are artists. Some people, you may not be able. I find introverts are really good at sitting there being quiet. Some people are fidgety. So a prayer bead actually can help them. But not everybody's in for prayer beads, And so those are the kinds of things that the book talks about. Each chapter offers some insight, right, into what are we wrestling against, and then offers a practice to try, and ends up saying, okay, let's go to church. Let's go to wherever you worship. Let's go there. But remember, not every service is meant for you if you're trying to find a peaceful place. Some services are meant to be joyful and make us smile and laugh and participate in a different way. Some services are meant for children and families to be a part of, and that may not be what you need. And it's not the fault of that church or temple or whatever it is. Find the place. Be on a pilgrimage to find a place. And I mean, and that, that ends with that, which is learn to walk and pray.
I find that the hunger for spiritual depth, that people who are searching no longer say, tell me what a Christian is, or teach me what a Christian is. They say to me, show me how to be one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They want something embodied. And the church has gotten, it's sometimes overly performative, it seems to me.
I'm a low churchman, so which means the performance is anathema to my heart. No, but again, let me say, some people need to see their prayers going up like incense to God. I mean, we can become performative, but there you have to teach the censer, the individual, who is the thurifer with the censer and who's in charge. What are you doing? What's happening in that as an acolyte when you're asked to come forward and help me serve at the table? You know why I bow when you hand me something? To reverence the fact you're serving God, and I see that. I'm going to say thank you for what you're offering me. You take the time with people who are doing these acts to help them understand that they're not just performing a thing. It's not performance. They actually are living into an act of service and prayer themselves. So that I don't care whether you can do the loop-de-loop with no. I mean, you can. I mean, maybe you can. But are you praying while you do it? Right? Or people thinking, oh, look at that thurifer, he knows how to do. Are you drawing attention to yourself, or are you helping people go, oh, my soul has been lifted today a little higher because I experienced that. And when I heard the bells, I thought I was in my head in prayer, but when I heard the bells, I knew, look up, something's happening at the altar. Something's happening. That's what the bells are for. Look, don't carry on this, right? Middle Ages, don't carry on your business out there right now. We're lifting the sacrament here that we're going to ring a bell. So you stop out there. Look up what God is doing in our midst, not what the priest is doing, what God is doing. So I think it's going to call, as we get these questions, we should see them not as an opportunity to impart knowledge. It should be an invitation. Well, let's talk. What do you think? I want to know what you think's happening there. And then let me tell you a little bit of that. Have you ever heard the ice cream truck? Have you? I mean, like, I grew up with ice cream truck. We still have them in Houston, and the ice cream truck comes around. There was a sermon I remember when I was in my 20s, and the priest said, a hot day, I loved hearing the bells of the ice cream truck. And when I hear that, I know God loves me and God's done something amazing for me. I mean, he was able, complete seriousness, right? Like that feeling of it's so hot, I'm not going to make it without a fudge bomb as a child. Like I will not live another second, right? But as an adult, I come in. Rocket Pop, the Rocket Pop. A man who likes banana. Mm-hmm. But here, the bells ring to pull us up and out. And my God, that's... Everybody else wants you to stay in and involved and on your thing and this far away from your nose. And we're saying, no, look at this. And when the light, I've been here, when the light comes in here. Yeah. But every church, it can be one of those 50s churches, a 1970s church you're going, man, this shag rug needs to go out. But you can have, but God's there too. Right? I mean, you go to Coventry Cathedral and the giant banner of Christ this reconciling Christ with all of its 1970s colors. And you walk up and you see the light and the dark blues as you walk towards the altar. And then when you turn back to the world, it's all colors of stained glass. And it's made so that you can't not see the outpouring of rainbow light showering down upon you as you walk back from the altar, where you just meagerly put your hands forward and ask.
It's a very powerful space.
Right? Like that space.
Yeah.
But every space actually has God present in it.
Mm-hmm.
It just may need more articulation. It's like, this is where God is, right here.
As a way to sort of wrap us up, there's a beautiful paragraph you have here, and I would love for you to read it. You wrote it, and then maybe wrap us up with a comment.
Did you know this is my first book that's on Audible? And yes, but I didn't read it. And so I love Audible. I listen to books all the time because I drive so one day I'm like, okay, I have to listen. And I'm listening and I'm like, this guy is smart. Because it's not me talking, it's like somebody else. It's like a really weird experience. I'm like, I didn't write that. I don't remember writing that. So who knows what's going to happen right now? Like,
now
right, that's what
the real thing.
I just want you to know, who knows what's going to happen here or what you've chosen. So this is on page 156. And it's the future of faith in a digital world. By what we say and what we do, by what we trust and what we reject, by what we hope for and what we fear, by what we do and we do not do, by whose voice we choose to amplify, and by which we choose to silence, we can remove our now digitally immersed and directed lives into new and living water, anchoring in deep and mindful dependence on God and one another in the midst of God's creation. It's riffing off of Matthew 4:4. Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Would you join me in thanking Bishop Doyle for being with us tonight?
Thank you all for being, and those who've joined online. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
For our next episode, we're pleased to welcome the Cathedral's canon historian, John Meacham, and the United States Senator Cory Booker for a discussion on the moral foundations of democracy, the challenges of our time, and the role of faith in shaping public life. Thank you for listening to Crossroads, and until next time, many blessings. If the digital offerings of the Cathedral enrich your daily life, please consider becoming a supporter today by making a gift at cathedral.org/inspire.